first and foremost, I just wanted to let you know that I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for taking the time out to be a part of this.
I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you. Well, let's hop right into it.
Good.
First, how much money will Chesterfield County Public Schools operate with during fiscal year 2014, and how is this specific dollar amount determined?
The school board recently approved the operating budget for 2014 in the amount of $533.9 million. It seems like a lot of money. Actually, it's about $60 million less than we operated on 5 years ago.
Wow.
The board also approves its capital plan, and they look at a 5-year plan, and that's about $350 million. And so those are a lot of numbers, but it takes a lot to support education.
It does.
The budget process goes on year-round.
Okay.
Obviously, the school board is very involved. We have a budget staff under the leadership of David Myers, who's the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance.
Okay.
And we talk with members of the General Assembly. About 50% of our funding comes from the state sales tax. And then we talk to members of the Board of Supervisors and the county staff, and about 50% of our budget comes from the county, for the most part in real estate taxes.
Wow. Now, as you stated, $533.9 million, that sounds like a lot of money.
Only a little over $500 million,
Right?
That's right.
For those who may not know, can you share with us how the money is distributed among instruction, technology, debt, and things of that nature?
Oh, very good question. The majority of our funding goes to instruction,
Okay.
about 69%, almost 70%. And then we have operations. For example, we just discussed a little bit about schools being delayed. Well, we had to have our crews out this morning to clean bus lots and to clean sidewalks, and so that's an example of some of the operating funding. That's about 11%. Technology is really pretty small. We only spend about 2% of our budget in technology, about 2% in administration, and about 9% in debt service. Debt service, for example, Meadowbrook High School some years ago had a renovation.
Okay.
We take 20 years to pay the loan on that. That's debt service.
Wow. Wow. How is the dollar amount for each school determined?
We look at the number of students that we have in the school, and that determines how much funding each school gets. In Chesterfield County, it's about $9,000 per student. And so that's how we allocate funds.
Okay.
Every school gets the same baseline percentage.
Okay.
Schools that have high percentages of students who qualify for free or reduced federal meals in elementary schools, they get additional federal dollars.
Okay.
And we may allocate a few extra dollars for specialty centers, but that's a very small percentage. But for the most part, we have equal distribution among schools.
Among each school. Okay.
Yes.
Well, in following the news, I've noticed that our neighboring districts are struggling somewhat financially. A few years ago in Chesterfield, I noticed that we experienced a rough stretch, but we leveled out a bit. And I don't feel like, as a student, I've been deprived of anything financially. How have you been able to ensure that students don't suffer in the classroom during what many consider rough economic times?
The last several years have been the great challenge, probably the greatest challenge of my career, trying to balance budget with fewer dollars. We lost about $100 million in gross funding from operations, almost $150 million from the CIP plan. And we had to cut about 500 positions. Teachers and employees lost salaries, but our number one priority was to maintain the integrity of the classroom.
Yes, sir.
That's why we're here, is to support education and learning for students. And so I'm glad that you haven't seen a significant impact on instruction, but the impact that you probably have seen may be larger class sizes in some cases, and perhaps fewer electives because we have fewer teachers now working. But beyond that, again, we take pride that we have smart people here. We have a lot of great teachers, and they made it a priority to maintain the integrity of the classroom. And we're very proud that we're probably one of the largest school districts in the state to come out of some of these challenging times in a more positive position than others because we made tough decisions early.
Yes, yes. And with the budget for school districts having such an impact on so many people, I'm sure it's pretty hard to keep everyone happy. So what are some of the things that you're looking forward to for the budget for fiscal year 2014?
Yeah, it would be nice if we could make everyone happy, but if we made everyone happy, we wouldn't be doing the right things for children and for our students. That's always our top priority. Number one, I'm glad that we aren't making any cuts to our classroom programs for the second year in a row. That's huge for us. We aren't laying off any teachers, and we're proud that we're actually able to give teachers and employees a raise, a total 6% raise. Now, 4% of that is to offset increases in VRS, and then another 2% in terms of direct raise. So I'm very, very proud of that. And again, I think we have some tough challenges ahead, but we're in a much better position today than we were a few years ago.
That's great. That's great. Now, for parents, staff members, or students that are interested in learning more about the school budget for Chesterfield County Public Schools, where's a good place for them to get more information on that?
We're very proud of our website, mychesterfieldschools.com, and they can actually go there to see the entire budget for this current year, FY13, and then they can see our plans and the budget that was approved by the school board for FY fiscal year 14. I will say this is only one part of the process. Our budget is now in the hands of the Board of Supervisors, and they will make the final decisions.
Okay, well, for now, for my favorite part of the interview, the hot seat. I know you were saying you're not looking forward to this one too much.
Well, I only think about work, so if it's anything beyond work, I'm going to be challenged and struggle a little bit.
Okay, well, you know what? Got to put you to the test.
All right, let's have it.
All right, well, let's start off with favorite food.
Wow, I think I'll go back to Mama's cooking. And growing up, Sunday was fried chicken and collard greens and homemade cake, typically some type of coconut or chocolate cake, dark chocolate cake.
Yeah, you can't never go wrong with Mama's cooking.
That's
Never,
right.
never.
That's right.
What about favorite sport?
Favorite sport?
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
Well, I played several sports in high school, and while I was probably a little bit better in basketball, my favorite sport was football.
There we go.
And played on the state championship football team.
Okay.
So I'd have to say football.
Football, okay. Well, favorite athlete?
Oh, gosh. Favorite athlete? I'm going to go with RG3.
Yes, my favorite athlete, too. He's awesome.
right?
Yes, sir. What about favorite movie?
Oh, gosh, I don't watch many movies.
Okay.
I'll go with an old movie that many of students at Meadowbrook may not even have heard of. It's called Remember the Titans.
That's classic. Classic.
And the reason that's my favorite movie is because the same year that T.C. Williams was going through that, the high school that I attended in North Carolina was going through the same thing, forced racial integration. And I was on the football team that helped bring that community together that was going through some very difficult times. And we ended up winning the state championship that year. And so I saw that movie and I said, that's my story.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. What about favorite hobby?
Well, I don't get to do it much now, but I love playing chess. I have a degree in art, and so I used to be a freelance artist, painter, and I hope to get back to that at some point.
That's awesome. What about favorite school subject?
Well, obviously art was a favorite subject of mine, but I also love mathematics, and I taught mathematics as well as art.
Okay. And finally, something you've always wanted to do, but you haven't had the chance to do it yet.
Wow. I can't think of anything that I've wanted to do that I haven't done. I don't know that I want to do it, but I think it'd be pretty interesting. One of my brothers was a paratrooper, and he used to jump out of planes, and we lived on an Army base where, as little kids, we would watch the students, the paratroopers train, and so maybe jump out of an airplane.
Now that's my favorite by far. That was my favorite answer by far. Well, I think you survived the hot seat, Dr.
Well,
Newsome.
thank you. Well, you did a great job of helping me out.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for doing this interview with me. Once again, I really enjoyed myself.
My pleasure.
Thank you.